What's up, everyone? My name is Candace Smith, and this is Fat Tabulous Magazine TV. So I know that you've checked out the title of this video, and originally this video was supposed to be about Monique and Tyler Perry because I wanted to stick with a plus size theme. But there were some really good things that have happened, over the past couple of days in the Black community that I can't help but look at from another level. And it's only because I'm going to be totally honest, I have been dealing with the same things in my life. And that's basically forgiveness versus unforgiveness. Walking in forgiveness and walking in unforgiveness. I feel like I've spent a lot of time walking in both. On some levels, in some relationships, I've been able to walk away from them and be totally in forgiveness. And then there's been some relationships where I still hold grudges. I still feel a certain type of way. And I've walked in that for a good amount of time to look at it and know, like, okay, this is what this life produces. This is what walking in this way produces. And so just kind of sitting back and looking at some of the things that has happened, outward, that we all have taken notice of and commented on social media about. I wanted to just talk about it, but I really do want to make it personal. I really do want to make it what I feel like it's all been about, and that's forgiveness and unforgiveness. And so there are three topics, three versus battles I feel like went down this weekend over the past couple of days, and that is the versus battle between Young Jeezy and Gucci Mane. That is the Red Table Talk and the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reunion, where Will Smith and the actress Janey Hubert that played Aunt Viv came together and talked about this 30-year feud that they've had, and they actually sat down and discussed it. And that was huge. That was huge for somebody that know what they know, that they may be walking in unforgiveness. To see that happen is huge, because I feel like people don't allow people to be people. When you have a way to be detached from someone's situation, it's very easy for you to comment and go to typing and saying how you feel. But when you are involved in it, it's different. And so the last topic is Monique and Tyler Perry, which was the original purpose for this video. However, after me just sitting back, because I was really looking at things from a very detached point of view, until God made it personal for me. He began to show me things within each of those situations about me. And once it became personal, I feel like I got some revelation for my own self. And today I'm basically just deciding to share it with you. I'm just deciding to have this open and transparent conversation with you. That's basically what this is all about. And because it don't ever really sit right with me to just talk about people and just comment on what they have going on. It just don't really sit right with me. I feel like talking in this mic is an honor, it's a privilege. And if you're going to talk in it, you got to be vulnerable. You have to bring a piece of yourself, or else, you don't really deserve a right to be there. And that is how I feel. And so sometimes when I feel unworthy, I step back and I don't say anything, because, if I'm not willing to be honest and give and sacrifice as much as I know that person is sacrificing, being out in the public eye and having their life under scrutiny, then I don't have no right to say anything. But at this moment, I am going to say some things because I feel led to. That's all I can say. So anyway, I want to start with the Gucci Mane versus Young Jeezy versus battle. And it's so funny because, now me and my sister have this regular thing where we meet up on Messenger for these versus battles, and we have us a good time dancing, singing. We just have us a good time. So when they announced it, I was like, sis, what's up? We gonna do this thing or what? So she like, yes, I'm gonna be there. So she works at a hospital and she was very tired, but she still was like, call me at 8 o'clock. So I called her, and I couldn't believe these men had the audacity to be later than church folk. I was like, now you know what? This is ridiculous. I was typing it in. I know nobody wasn't seeing it, but I was going in like, come on, this is ridiculous. So anyway, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, but it was intense because I'm not going to say that I'm this big gangster rap, person. I didn't really grow up in that way. I just sort of, I live in the community. I live amongst the culture. So, of course, I knew about things, and I knew that what was going on between them was very serious. And the difference between back then and now for me is that I was very detached from what was going on in celebrities' life at that time. It was all make-believe to me. And that's just me being honest. I thought that a lot of things were manufactured. I thought that a lot of things were planned and prepared and, publicity stunts. I really believe that, but it took for me on my very minute level of like being in a relationship with the artist. I've dated like two, rappers or whatever, nobody big like a celebrity that I'm talking about. That's what I mean by that. Nobody as big as like Young Jeezy or Gucci Mane, because so many people know them. These people are not where a lot of people know them. But I learned some things just in those little experiences. I learned how serious they take it, and I learned how much of themselves they incorporate in what they're writing. And it's very real to them, and they're really talking about their life. They're really putting a lot of things out there. And what I noticed is how serious people are taking it is how serious they put things out. Because when we listen to Young Jeezy and Gucci Mane, a lot of people listen to it as entertainment. This is something that a lot of people came to strictly and solely be entertained. And so the way it was presented is the lighthearted way a lot of people are responding to it. However, it's very real. What happened was very real. There were some real consequences from it. And that's where I feel like a lot of people are detached and not seeing it as it should be seen, because we are all going through things like this. We are all in relationships, coming out of relationships, where sometimes you leave a relationship and it don't end good, and there's unresolved things, and you don't know what to do with those things. And sometimes they stick with you, and then sometimes you leave situations and you said what you had to say, they said what they had to say, and so you're able to walk away from whatever it was. No matter how horrible it was, you're able to walk away with a lighthearted, perspective, or a way that you can just move on. It's not sitting on your heart and sitting on your mind and constantly regurgitating itself with your words, your thoughts, and your actions. And so, what I felt like with the Young Jeezy and Gucci situation, for those that don't know, back in the day, they were really at odds against each other, in this rap rap culture type of way, where they feud and battle. But then it got very serious. It got very serious when, young Jeezy basically put up $10,000 for someone to go take Gucci Mane's chain. And back then, it's like, pay him to go snatch his chain, and we just talking about it in this type of way that it was like I was detached. But as an adult, it's like I can put myself in that position either way, and it's so deeply messed up on so many levels. It is so deeply sad. It's very sad. It's very sad that, this is what was going on, and I didn't even understand the seriousness of it. That's how it's sad for me. I can't say that I fully understand what they're going through and things like that. The only thing I can do is put myself in their position and try to understand it. And, I know a lot of people are like, well, young Jeezy, he won the battle because, he showed so much growth. And I'm just like, you know what? It sound good. That really do sound good. It really does sound really good. And on a surface level, I guess it can look that way. But on a much deeper level, it's not so easy. And I feel like we all have to examine ourselves, because I know people that have been fighting over way less. And I know people, that are mad about somebody that wrote a status about them. You mad about a status, but this man actually put a hit out and was willing to pay money for someone to do something. And I know it's very easy for us to say that was a long time ago. He's very different. And, he has changed and he is, different. But I also recognize that because I've looked at the battle. And then I've watched some commentary of different people. So I've watched it over and over, certain clips, because in each commentary, people have the clip of it. And so, I had the opportunity to see it a couple of times, and it did seem as though he was taking the high road by, just saying this is for the culture and, mentioning other young African-American rappers that have died and been killed. And, but he did not really come forward and say, I was wrong for doing this. And I have a problem with that. I have a problem with that because when it comes to forgiveness, each party has something to recognize. One thing that God showed me one day that really put me in my place was very simple. See, because God know you better than everybody. He know you better than everybody. God know that I'm not good at math, but he wanted to teach me something, and he wanted to teach it by giving me an equation. So he gave me this very, very simple equation. One day when I was just like really just like in my feelings, I was just bothered by something. I was bothered by something. I was bothered by somebody and what they did to me. And I was just regurgitating it all in my head, and it was just triggering me, and I was just getting angry. But you probably could never tell. You probably could never tell that anything was wrong with me, because I probably just looked like I was just sitting there chilling. But in my mind, there was this hurricane just swirling, these powerful, powerful winds of thoughts just swirling around in my head, around and around and around and around. And all of a sudden it was like, Candace, 1 + 1 = 2. And I heard it and I got it. Like I really got it. I understood it, but it did take me some time to be able to communicate what I knew God was trying to tell me. And he was basically saying, just imagine in your head the number 1, the plus sign, the number 1, the equal sign, and then the number 2. Okay? 1 plus 1 equals 2. Now you one of those ones. And anybody else can be the other one. And as long as you there and that other person is there, you got 2. However, if you should ever remove yourself from the situation, you no longer really have a problem. You just have 1. Okay? But if you in the equation plus anybody else in that other 1 position, I mean, you could put an X and you could put anybody there. If anybody else in that other situation that equal that 1 person just being there, you got 2. You got a problem now. If it's 1 plus 0 and it's nobody there, you don't have a problem. But if it's 1 plus anybody else, for some reason, you seem to have a problem. You ain't never thought to look at the other person that's standing there? Who else is involved? Who else is consistently involved? You, boo. You there. So you have to examine you. If ever you are finding yourself where you are having a problem, you are having a problem. You have to examine you no matter what that other person has done, said, or whatever. You have something to own up to. And if you don't own up to your portion, your part, your role that you played, you don't get to reap the benefits of the forgiveness. You don't get to walk in it. And I feel like, young Jeezy has taken some credit for some things he don't deserve to have credit for. He didn't really come out and say, I was wrong. You can't take credit for taking the high road just because you mentioned real estate over jewelry. So what? In my opinion, this is totally my opinion. Totally my opinion. In my opinion, young Jeezy seems like he feels that he's supposed to be in another level than Gucci Mane. But it's a reason why they put y'all together, boo. The reason why they put y'all together because everybody see y'all on that trap level. But he wants to make it seem like he's above that. But if you was above that, you wouldn't be in that level. If you was on a Jay-Z level, you would be battling Jay-Z. If you was on whoever else level that you seem to think you on, you would have been at a versus battle with them. You were not. You were at a versus battle with Gucci Mane because that's how everybody see you. They see you as the snowman, the trap man. But you want to make it appear like you've matured so much. And in my opinion, you are just perpetuating everything that you've always stood for. You're still perpetuating that. Even in your relationship choice. In my opinion, every single thing that you do continues to show that you have not really grown, that you have not really accepted your role in how all of this played out. This man was attacked by the words that came out of your mouth. You were so mad at him being able to wear a chain. You were mad. You was mad that he was getting some accolades on your level. Now Gucci Mane was mad too. They all was battling and going back and forth. But you took it to a whole nother level of mad, boo. You took it to a level of mad where you put a hit out on this man. And that is something I feel like a lot of people not giving you credit for. But I'm going to give you credit for taking it to a new low. You took it to a new low where you put another black man in harm's way. You couldn't keep it words. You couldn't keep battling by words and tracks and disses. You had to say, you know what? I'm man enough. This is how man I am. I'm finna go send somebody. I'm finna put $10,000 because that's how much money I got. I got $10,000 to blow on somebody that's saying something and rapping something and talking something and doing whatever. You know, because before that, anybody can say something if it's something other than what I'm saying. But I never heard of Gucci Mane sending somebody to go put harm on somebody that he know. If any of his crew or something and them got into a fight, it's because they got into a fight on their own. It wasn't because Gucci Mane specifically said, go do this. You specifically put a target on this man's back. And wanted, you so mad about him looking like he on the level you think you ain't supposed to be on. It was really all about you. In the versus battle of Jeezy versus Jeezy, you failed. You failed. Because you don't want to accept who you are. And it don't work like that. You don't get the accolades of you walking in a better truth or you're on this higher level if you ain't really doing it. And in my opinion, you're not really doing that. You know, you still want to show everything and what you got. Even the whole battle, in my opinion, it just felt like, oh, you know, he was sitting down and I'm just so above this. I'm just above this. That's the whole attitude that I got, was like you just felt like you were above, you know, being there. But you there. So stop. You there. You there. You came, you showed up. So you not bigger. You not better. You there. So how are you walking around and acting like you're better than? You know, and it's like, why you sitting down and why come on and just perform your songs, talk your mess, say whatever, you know? And so that has been bothering me. I'm not gonna lie, because I wouldn't be speaking on it if it didn't bother me. That right there has been bothering me, you know, and it just has been bothering me because I honestly feel like sometimes we don't want to allow people to be hurt and for them to be able to accept the things that's happening to them. And so, in my opinion, if that was to happen to me, it's no way I would have showed up and performed a concert, because let's just be real, this was just a concert. I know we're calling it a versus battle and all of that stuff like that, but it was a concert of them performing their songs and stuff like that or whatever. So, you know, I would not have been able to do that with somebody that actually wanted to send somebody to harm me or try to take my life or take something that I've worked for and all of this stuff. You know, I see people get big mad about them taking your idea. You mad, you real mad about them taking they put your, you know, certain things just get copied. You know what I'm saying? And I found myself mad about things like that, you know, so it's like, how can I sit here and judge this man when he's going through something like that? And I don't care how long it's been. I don't care how long it's been. It don't matter. It could be 50 years. I can just honestly say for myself, it's like certain things, it's hard for me to deal with and let go. And I know it's because of me. And that's what I want to say when it comes to Gucci. You know, you have to accept how things make you feel. And, you know, this is what I want to say too. Sometimes when it's unforgiveness we find ourselves in, it is more to do with us than that person. Yes, this is what I want to say to Monique and Janey Hubert, because for me, they were wronged. They were wronged. Oh, they are being wronged. They are. If you don't know, you know, the situation with Will Smith and Janey Hubert was basically the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. She was the first Aunt Viv. And all of a sudden we got this new Aunt Viv. And I remember growing up, like, that was such a huge change. I mean, the biggest change was dark skin to light skin. Like, immediately I was like, wow, because usually when they try to fulfill a role, back in the day, they would at least try to find a similar looking character. This was so huge that it was like, we kind of wanted you to know that this is a new person. Forget even her behaving like that woman. Just totally forget it. And it was, to me, shocking. Like, whoa. But I'm that's entertainment. I'm not too much into it and concerned about how it has affected them on a real level. And so, unbeknownst to a lot of us, that they've been going through this whole big feud for 30 years. Oh, Jesus. Oh, God, I don't want to walk around with unforgiveness in my heart for 30 years. God, help me. Please help me. Because I don't want to do that. That's a heavy load to carry. For 30 years. It's heavy. But it hasn't been so heavy on Will. Now he's accepting the full accountability. If you watch the Red Table Talk, there were videos that Janet put out talking to him directly. He just watched them for the first time. And I believe that because he has people around him shielding him. We'll watch it for you and we'll come back and report things. But they understand that words have power and they need him to operate on a certain level to be at his best. And so they'll protect him because he's an investment. And so when you don't have that protection around you, though, and you have to face certain things like we have to face in the normal world, it takes a toll on you. It takes a toll to have someone have that type of energy towards you. Where they're constantly thinking of you in this negative way and their thoughts towards you is hatred and rage and just, humiliation and sadness and offense. That's big. It's big. And a lot of people don't realize that. But it is very deep and this is very serious. And I feel like God is trying to show us something. And he may not be trying to show you nothing, but I could say for myself, he's trying to show me something about walking in unforgiveness and how it can be accomplished to forgive someone and be able to move forward in life. And that's what I learned through the Will and Janet Hubert discussion. I loved the way they did that. I loved how Will incorporated a therapist. You sometimes need a third party, and I'm grateful that I've had that experience because it taught me that getting through difficult conversations is possible without it being a blow up, without it being a fight, without it being taken to this low level of now we're cursing each other out and we're saying things that, in this moment we're mad enough to say, but in the next moment we won't be that mad. We won't be as mad to say those hurtful things, and we'll live in regret with saying them. And so I love that I've learned that that's possible. And so I try to walk in that even the more. But there was a time when I needed someone to hold my hand. And I won't say that I won't ever be in a position where I will need somebody to do it again, because I sure will call on them to do it. But there was a time when I was going through things with my son's father, and I felt very blessed to have somebody in my life that could be a mediator for us that we could trust. And so therefore she would, relay things when we absolutely were just so mad at each other we couldn't even talk. Like, I don't even want to hear this nigga voice. Don't say nothing to me. Like, the sound of your voice, the thought of you trigger me into this rage that it's just like, oh, I can't. And then, You know, there were times where we actually tried to sit down together, and sometimes it worked and sometimes it was like, I cannot do this, you know, but we just kept at it and kept at it and kept at it. And slowly but surely, I learned that yes, I could do it. I could sit there and listen to you express your hurt while I'm hurting. And that was something that it took me a while to be able to do that, because I would be so focused on my hurt that I couldn't see no one else's hurt. And so I just had to learn, like, okay, you got to just sit through listening. If you want to be listened to, if you want to be heard, if you want someone to understand how you feel, then you got to sit here and you have to have some understanding. You know, you have to take your time to say, okay, if I want this relationship mended and I want this relationship healed and I want healing in this, then I have to be willing to sit here and listen and accept whatever that person has to say or whatever. So, you know, I feel like that's something they both wanted, you know, and maybe the reboot of the show was the motivation, because times are hard now. I'm not gonna act like if the gravy train was still going, this would have happened. I don't believe that. I believe that the times that we're living in now is forcing a lot of things to happen. You know, if things were good, I don't believe that the versus battle would have had. None of these versus battles would have happened. People would have been doing their concerts, having their tours. These versus battle has brought out a lot. And so it forced these two men to come together. They had to come together and face this thing. And it may not have been perfect. And then sometimes it don't be perfect. But this was a opening. This was a big opening. And I hope that, you know, there can be some closure. There can be some real closure for it. Because sometimes I notice on me, I have scars. And sometimes the scars heal and you never would know that that there was ever a wound there. But then there are times when I have scars and sores and they heal ugly. And it's like you left this mark here. Now it's this mark on my skin, and it's no matter what I do, it's always going to be there. It's just ugly, but it's healed. It's healed. I don't like the way it looks, but it's healed. And that's how it is sometimes with healing. Sometimes it's not pretty. It's not this fantasy. You know, it's not this delusion. It's real, but it's healing. And so we have to learn to just accept people for how they heal and how the situation plays out, because everybody's healing is not going to look the same. And, you know, I feel like that's the biggest lesson that I could take from the Young Jeezy and Gucci Mane verses, was that things don't always look good. And everybody has to own up to their part. And so moving on to Will Smith, like I said, I loved how they brought in the therapist. I love how they calmly sat and talked. I admired how Will sat and listened. It's hard. I know that was hard, because that was 30 years of energy. 30 years of anger and rage. This lady has been hurting and upset. And he sat there and he absorbed all of it that belonged to him. And he absorbed a lot that did not belong to him. Because this is what I have to say about Janey and Monique. And I guess I'll do Monique last. When it comes to Janey, I do feel like there is sometimes, when it comes to unforgiveness for people, there's some idolatry that plays a role, where you are idolizing this person, where you have put this person in a position where they have so much control and ownership of your life. And I don't believe that no one in this world has that much control and ownership of us unless we give it to them. There's been too many examples of people in life and in history falling flat on their face, but being able to pick themselves up and rise above where they fell. There's been too many examples of that. And so for us sometimes to just sit and allow people to have this role of being the destroyer of everything, you have to accept how much you giving them. You got to accept that. You got to accept the fact that sometimes you giving people way too much credit than they deserve to have. Sometimes they don't deserve to have that much power. Yes, he was in control of a lot of things. Yes, black women are put into a lot of positions. And in all honesty, for me, this is where my faith takes over. This is where God plays a huge role in my life. And I got to give him all the credit for when I found myself in positions where other people are in control of what I have. There's been times where I've lived with people. There's been times where I've been in relationships with people. And at that time, I had given them control over things. I had given them control over my happiness, over what I decided to do, how I decided to do it, when I was deciding to do it. And I didn't move unless I had their permission. Well, that was my choice in doing that. I chose to put that in their hands and say, you know what? Well, if it's all right with them, I do it. If they go to acting funny, I guess I change up and I switch up what I'm doing. And I'll make it so that we're all happy. And that was my choice. I put them in that position and that power to do that. And so my results in my life was, I'm not where I want to be. I'm not where I'm supposed to be. There have been times where I've literally been on jobs and, had a terrible boss. I remember having this guy as a boss, and he was racist. And it was a lot of different things that he did to employees. He kicked a woman in the back. He would just make all of these crude comments about our hair, talk about us being ghetto, and make, just remarks and try to talk in this ghetto fashion and just really be demeaning. But at the same time, he recognized certain potential in me, and so he would elevate me as far as promotions and things like that. And so I got into a position where I was literally right up under him. And I was so excited for the position, but when I got it, he just took total advantage of it. It's like I just felt like I was in a position where I had to accept what he was doing. And I was so miserable. And I remember his boss coming for a visit, the regional salesperson. I was in sales at a hotel. And so she came into town, and I think she noticed some tension. And so she offered to take me out to lunch, and I would never forget. I worked for a Hilton property at the time, and she took me to Embassy Suites, which was right down the street from where I worked. I worked at a Homewood Suites. And so we sat, and she was like, just order whatever you want. And she was really, really sweet and nice. And she began to just ask me about the atmosphere that I worked in. And I just opened up and I told her, because it was so heavy on me. When things are so heavy on me, that's when I go to God, because it's like, okay, I can't do anything else. I've done everything that I can do. Okay, God, I don't know what to do. And I remember going to him. I remember going to God and just being like, I don't know what to do. I wasn't in church at this time. And so sometimes that used to play a role in how I went to God, because by me not being in church at that time, I felt like I didn't have a right to go to him like I normally would. Like, you ain't doing what you supposed to do. You ain't coming to church. So what? So I would just avoid, kind of like taking things to God until it just got horrible. Then it was like, forget all of that. I don't care. Yes, I almost cussed a little piece. I almost cussed a little bit, but I'm just saying, I'll be like, forget that. I don't care. I need your help, God. So, I just finally went to God, and I felt like her talking to me was my opportunity. Was God like, okay, this is your chance to speak up and say something. So I just began to share with her what was going on. So basically, and me and her sat in this restaurant and he cried. Was gone. And it was like God totally removed him. And all I could do was sit back and just be like, God, you did that, because he was making my life miserable for no reason, for his own pleasure. And I was just grateful that God did that. And so, like I was saying, this is when I would have come to God and say, I'm in this position where, this is happening with my career, and I feel like there's nothing that I can do. And I know that just probably sounds crazy to some people, like, well, that's not realistic for everyone, or there are other things that you can do. And that's true. There are other things that you can do. And I feel like sometimes when I go to God about things, it's not so much that he just spiritually and miraculously does things. It's that he puts my mind and heart in a place where I can then receive direction. Because the more I'm focused on that situation and it looks so impossible to me, it stays impossible for me. It stays impossible. But the moment I say, okay, God, I can't take this. I can't do this. I need your help in this situation. I trust that he's going to open up another door. I trust that he's going to give me some opportunity. He's going to open a crack of a door, just enough for the light to peek in for me to see this is the direction I need to head in. I don't care. I know I was facing towards this problem, and I know I was just focused on this problem, but now I see a little bit of light in all this darkness. So let me head towards that direction. And as talented as she was, I do feel like there had to be some opportunities. They may have been less than what you felt like you were deserving, but it was something that you could take to move on in grace. Sometimes we do have to travel along life in a lower way than we want to for a little bit of time. There's been times in my life, I don't have no shame in my game, where I've cleaned toilets and I just did whatever I had to do to provide for me and my children. And I do not care what anybody have to say. I don't care if you know that I had to borrow money from the church. I don't care if you know that I had to borrow money to pay my bills, to get by while I'm in school and trying to raise my children. I don't care. I will proudly say that, yes, I've done everything that I know I could do to make it to where I'm at today. And I will continue to do it, and it will never be any shame in my game for what I have to do to make it to the next step, to get to the level and the place that I want to be in life. And so, with Monique, going into that situation, and if you don't know, basically with Monique, she made a movie called Precious. Good movie. Very sad movie. I read the book when I was younger. It's so sad. But she did a good job playing the role in that movie. And she won an award, an Oscar. And, usually when actresses and actors win certain awards, it puts them on a higher level to where now their earning power is increased. So when you have these certain awards, what it basically says is that these group of people agree that the level that you performed deserves to say, we all are in agreement. The award committee, these people that understand movies and understand acting, the experts, we have come together and we said she should be the winner to get this award. And so it raises your star power. It raises the way you can say, okay, for this next role, I know I took on 50,000, but now that I got this award, I should be able to say 75, 100,000, going forward. But that didn't happen with Monique. And so what happened was she worked on the movie Precious, and she had a contract with the original creators of that movie. And so she fulfilled her contract, and then the movie got picked up by another box office or whatever, another production company, which was, I think, Oprah's and Tyler Perry's, I believe, picked it up. And so now they wanted her to do more promotion that was not in her contract. And so she declined it because she had other engagements to attend to. She had other responsibilities. And she really went into detail on the Claudia. I can't think of what her name is, but it's Claudia. She went on her show and did an interview, and she really went into detail about it. And she just broke it down and was like, I had other commitments, and they wanted me, on top of that, they wanted me to do it for free. And so she's like, no, I didn't want to do that. And so what happens a lot of times, and this is not just within Hollywood, this is within a lot of different industries, like a lot of communities. I mean, this is why I say this topic can be seen on a level that we all can understand, because there's cliques everywhere. There are cliques in church. There are cliques on your jobs. There's cliques within the family. There are cliques amongst your friends. So we all know that there are cliques. And when you in these cliques, you in them because we all agree that we're going to do certain things. And when you go against that, they ice you out. They ice you out whenever you go against the flow of things. And that's simply what it is. She did not do what they expected. And so, hey, if you're not going to give, don't expect to receive. And it's the circle is so tight for the decision makers that if they see that you're not going to play by the rules in any way, you're totally out of it. If she would, and Tyler Perry says it in the recording, because basically Monique was inspired by the Will Smith and Janet Hubert interview, and she put it in her post, and she basically, you know what, let me find it and I'll just read it real quick, because it's on Instagram. That's where I saw it. I follow Monique on Instagram. And so this was her latest post. And she said, hats off to Will Smith for apologizing for what he did to Janet Hubert's everybody's Aunt Viv. Career life when he was young. Perhaps Tyler Perry, who has admitted in private that he was wrong, will follow suit and be man enough to apologize in public like he promised. We'll work on Oprah and Lionsgate a little later. P.S. Tyler, you won People's Choice Award for being the people's champ for your body of work. Tell the truth about a woman named Monique who did nothing wrong, and be a champion for the individuals who supported your career for years. The black women, please swipe to hear Tyler Perry say it with his own words. And so I read that and I was like, oh, wow. Because I remember when she first posted it, I was watching the comments come in, and a lot of people had stuff to say, and she was replying back. And I'll put those in here. I don't know if I feel like reading all that. but I'll put it in here so you can read it yourself. But there were people commenting back on it, and she was, going back and forth with a few people, because some people agreed, and then some people were like, let this go. You've been crying about this for a while. Let it go. And so, like I said, I feel like Janey Hubert and Monique was wronged. But once again, I feel like this is another situation where you giving certain people too much. You giving them too much power in your life. You're giving them too much credit. It does hinder you when you don't forgive. When you don't forgive, you hold you back. Tyler Perry is not God. Oprah Winfrey is not God. God can do anything. You putting these people in a place like they're your God. Like that, as soon as Tyler apologized, everything just gonna open up. No, it's not. It would have been done it if people... Honestly, if people felt really like Monique was just so in the right, I believe that they would tear down Tyler Perry Studios. They would take their pitchforks and their knives to his studio, to say, do something about this. You are wrong, because that's what people do. When things play out in the public eye, the public sometimes has the most power, and they will go to that person and start weeping and crying and telling them, you need to do this or we're not supporting you no more. And no one has done that. And another reason why I feel like they're giving these select people too much is because overall, our community really does Black women wrong. And so we can't just point the finger at a few key people. It's a lot of people to blame as to why these Black women are suffering. It's even us to blame because we haven't even had their back like we should. We sometimes, even as Black women, don't value ourselves enough to value another Black woman, to say you deserve better. This is why sometimes I felt like in my life, my relationships have been uneven, because it's like, how you want me to constantly cheer you on and tell you how you are better and you deserve better, but you secretly in your heart feel like I'm less than you. We unevenly yoked. We can't be friends if you automatically just see me as less than you, and meanwhile I'm boosting you every chance I get. It's draining. It will drain the life out of you when you are the one who's constantly giving, and it's never any giving back to you. And that's what happens a lot of times with Black women. It's like nobody has our backs. Nobody is going to say we're deserving of better. And sadly, this, I know it's on the lighter side because it's like, okay, she don't get another role. I know a lot of people like, big deal. We dealing with a lot of other stuff right now. Who cares? So, but at the same time, this same mentality where it plays in our communities is that Black girls are missing. And if you don't care, you just don't care. And all across the board, we can see in our communities where we don't care. And that go from the church to the politicians, to the communities, to the families, to the parents, to the moms, the dads. Nobody cares. We are all to blame for that. This is not just solely a Will Smith. This is not just solely a Tyler Perry. This is not just solely Oprah. It's not just the weight of them to carry. And that's what I was getting with even Janey. She had so much energy for him. It's not just solely for him to carry. You're focusing. You are most offended by them. You are most offended by them. But it is not all of them that deserves that full energy that you're trying to give. And the fact that you are so focused on them shows that you are just like idolizing them. You're too focused on them. You giving them too much power. And I've had to recognize that in my life. Like, you giving them too much, boo. You done gave them too much. The fact that you sitting here feeling like they hold the key to all your joy, peace, happiness, love, and you can't experience no type of nothing without them, you done gave them too much. If you are really feeling like somebody walking out of your life or not being a part of your life has just taking the sails and the wind out of you, and you don't have direction now, you don't know where to go now, you don't know what to do, your life is over, you will never experience another love, another friend, another nothing like that, you done gave that person too much. Now you're in the part where you idolizing them and you put them in a position of God over your life. And you can't do that. It's dangerous for you. It's very dangerous for you to allow. It will suck up your years of life. You will be a walking zombie, a living dead, not experiencing the fullness that life has to offer you. When all you have to do is accept the fact that it's time for that person to get out your life. This person don't mean you no good. This is when you have to be honest with yourself. Yes, you thought that person was your friend. Yes, you thought that man was gonna be true to you. You thought he loved you. You thought this person had their best interest, had your best interest in heart. You thought you cared about this person. You thought a lot of things. You were wrong. It's sad. It's sad the level of low that people can take things to sometimes. It's sad. It's really, really sad. However, it happened. And you know what? You deserve better. You deserve to have somebody in your life that can reciprocate what you give out. You deserve to work with people that appreciate your talent. You deserve to be in relationships with people that appreciate you and want to see you happy and want to see you do good. And that's what you should focus on. When you turn it back to you, you can move forward. As long as you looking at that other person, whether you looking at them in all the hatred and anger and look at what they did and why did they do this to me, as long as you so focused on them, you cannot move forward. The moment you turn it back to you and say, I don't like this, I'm hurt, but I deserve better. Because I love me, I care about me, because it's a scripture I'm trying to say and it's like it's not wanting to come. It is, it's like it's not. Oh yeah, this is what I wanted to say was basically I've always, just thought about the life that I know God wanted me to have, and it's life more abundantly. And you have to realize when you're not walking in that, when you're trying to hold on so tightly to a relationship that's not even giving you an abundance, you got to ask yourself, why you there? Why are you there, or why are you wanting to be there so bad? If that person is not giving you what you want, why do you want to be there so bad? That's what you have to look within yourself to find out. Because sometimes we want to be around people for the wrong reasons. Sometimes we trying to get something from them that they can't give us or that we need to give ourselves. This is when we become too much for people. When we want them to give us something that we need to give ourselves. When we need to give ourselves the love, and we need to esteem ourselves and have confidence in who we are. but we don't want to work at doing that on our own. We want somebody to fill us up with their presence, their company, their compliments. We need so much from them in order to feel good about ourselves. You're in a dangerous position. Because if ever that person decides to not fill you up, you are going to be so offended. You're going to be so offended. You're going to be so hurt. And it's because you was expecting so much from them. Sometimes when I've recognized when I've left relationships, I was hurt. I was real hurt. And I was hurt. But it didn't have this deep, long lasting impression on my life. I was able to just recognize that I was hurt, be hurt in that moment, and then move forward. But then there are times when it's like, oh my God, how am I supposed to move on from here? How, God? How? What am I supposed to do now? Will I ever love again? I'm dramaed out. I'm so dramaed out. I am drama. I'm slide down the wall drama. Faint on the couch. Just, you ruined my life. I'm that drama. So, I have to recognize where it's like, girl, settle down. Get yourself together. Gather yourself. Come on now. I'm not that, just like, you have to have you. As long as you have you, you're going to be okay. And that's how it should be. It shouldn't be so much where it's like, as long as I have them, I'll be okay. It should be as long as I got me. And that's what I'm learning. I feel like even in this, looking at the things that have played out over the weekend, that's what I've learned. Like, I got to be okay with me. And so, I don't know. I felt the need to share that. I do plan on making some more videos that will, discuss things on a different level. I hope that you all like it. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you want me to continue to have discussions like this. I know it's long. I'm long-winded. I'm going to try to do better. Anyway, peace.